Alright, well, it's all happening. Yes, finally. Setting off. Incredible as it may be. So I've got my maps on my iPad here. So just gotta start tracking. And got my GPS tracking. And we're basically off to see Australia. A lot of water around the place, and I did check the website to see where the Simpson Desert is open. It is open, but there may be a few challenges along the way with water. Apparently there's all sorts of issues with mozzie-borne diseases like Ross River fever, Japanese encephalitis or something like that. So we'll be using a lot of mozzie repellent, I think, assuming we get out there. Anyway, I'm expecting a lot of rain over the next couple of days, but it'll be all sealed road. Anyway, let's go pick up my passenger, Miss Leah. She will be my assistant today. Well, actually, she'll be my assistant over the next 4 weeks in photography so that I can produce all the content for my wonderful YouTube subscribers. Yes, if you haven't already subscribed, then press subscribe. You'll be notified when the next video is out. And obviously, if you do like the videos, that's how you support the channel. And yeah, so the next few days are going to be mainly sealed roads. So we've got probably about 1,500 kilometers of sealed roads before we hit the dirt, whatever condition it may be in. And here comes my photography assistant, Miss Leah. She has actually prepared her hair for the journey. Nice colour.
Hello.
Beautiful colour. Because we want as much colour as we can in our photography.
Extra towel. You know when you need an extra towel.
Did you bring me a towel? I didn't pack a towel.
You didn't pack a towel.
Can you go get a towel for me, please?
You don't have a towel.
You're on video.
Yeah. Oh, I need the towel keys. I mean the house keys.
It's always the last minute things.
Lucky I thought of that.
A towel, please.
I've already paid my dues. Oh.
We will continue once we get the towel. Good morning and welcome to day 2. So plans have changed already. We were heading towards Parks on day 1, and because of all the rain in Central Australia, well, actually rain across all of Australia, there's been road closures and floods. So we've had to detour slightly and go towards Dubbo. That's where we spent the night. There is still rain coming in through the west, across the west, and through southern central Australia, and not entirely sure how many of the roads that we plan to cover now, going forward, will be closed or open or whatever. Well, the sun's come out. Outstanding! Central west of New South Wales now. Stopping at this siding. It's a wheat growing area. The name of the town is Nevertire. And it's in the middle of nowhere. So I guess if you're driving along and you're feeling tired, then you stop. So you will never be tired. But it's a nice quiet area. Yeah, by some wheat trains here. And a typical scene of Australia was big, flat and wide. You can see as far as you can see, it's flat. A scene that you'll see in Central Australia and outback Australia, especially in drier areas. You find these melons all over the place. Not entirely sure whether I've never seen anyone eating them, so I'm presuming that no one actually eats these. You find them along the railway tracks. And also along the dirt roads of Central Australia. So what actually happens to them once they dry out? After they've been sitting in the sun for a while, here's an example. What's left of a yellow lemon. Much. There's the seeds. So the weather's cleared up and I'm expecting that we're going to have blue skies for the next few days at least, as we travel out west and we work out how wet the dirt roads are and what we can traverse and what we can't. In the meantime, I'll grab some shots with my Leica M11. Yeah, continue on.
Shots.
Okay, well, we're on the road from Burke to Tibooburra now, and this is really exciting. We've got beautiful weather, and I've never seen so many lizards on the road. And what we have here is a bearded dragon. It's a little one. They grow quite a bit larger, and I'm not sure whether There he goes. And he's hiding in here. Oh well, gone. Okay, I found a larger one here on the road. Here he is. I wonder how close I can get to him. Nice looking. He's looking very closely at me. There he goes. I reckon that's probably as close as we're going to get to him. Forget about catching him this time of day. It's 3:15, so they've been sunning in the sun for a while, and they are cold-blooded animals, which means they need the sun in order to get energy, and they've got lots of energy right now, so it'd be impossible to catch them. In the morning, I'll find one in the morning. All right, well, Australia's famous for lizards, and this particular one is called a sleepy lizard or a stumpy tail lizard because it's got a wonderful head and a tail that looks like its head. They're really quite harmless and they are quite docile. This one is quite energetic right now, but they'll settle down in your hand, and it's got a nice blue tongue, and it's probably better off in the bush than it is actually on the road. There you go, that's it. So you're better off in the dirt. There you go. The last time I took Leah out across the Simpson Desert was how many years ago?
28 years ago.
So that means Leah needs to be oriented into the bush camping from scratch. We're starting a fire. It's one of the main things to get going straight away. And my rule is one match, one fire. What determines that is how well you do your fire. Set up your fire. So I managed to pick up some cotton on the side of the track from a cotton plantation. And we're going to try and use some of these twigs that I put together. One match. One fire. Oh, okay, look at that. Cotton burns really well. And I think we've done it. One match. Okay, got to feed the fire now. Feed the fire, feed the fire. Feed
That already gives off a lot of heat.
Yeah, it does give off a lot of heat. Feed the fire, feed the fire. The fire must be fed before we can be fed.
Why is it wherever I'm sitting is where the smoke comes?
So you might start to smell like smoke, but at least it keeps all the flies away. And the mozzies.
Ooh.
And you can have a smoking ceremony as well to welcome the land.
Ooh.
Or once you've had enough, just get out of the smoke. I'm expecting the road to be quiet, but the semis do sometimes come down the road. We're probably about 100 meters away from the road, dirt track. So there might be some semis coming down during the evening. You can hear the buzz of the flies are still there. They'll be gone. The magic numbers for flies are 18 degrees Celsius and below, no flies. They hate heat and smoke, so stand next to the fireplace. Or when the sun is down twilight hours, when it's almost completely black, then the flies disappear. I think it's probably, well, it depends on the daylight saving, I suppose. But right now it's still too light, the flies are around. Where's the first for everything cooking with the induction cooker? This is the first time we've gone camping with the power station. I've got an iTech World power station and we're using induction cooking. It's amazing the speed of cooking is increased, and the control is pretty good as well. One of the main benefits of having induction cooking, particularly out in the bush, is it's not affected by the wind, so gas normally the heat gets blown away from underneath the pot. And you can cook on the fire, of course, and we had a choice of both. But here we decided to use the induction cooker with the iTech World 1300p power station. Just in case you weren't aware, you can actually get an additional discount by using Adventure 8 discount code for power station, solar blankets, accessories, etc. from iTech World. There'll be a link there in the video here.
as well as a discount code, Adventure8. So, and that discount is on top of any other discounts that actually are operating at the time at iTech World. So it's good value.
It will be very quick. Quickest yet.
Good morning, yes, first night camp. Whoa, we survived. So the journey's been pretty good from Sydney so far. And we drove past Burke yesterday and the skies have cleared up. And yeah, we had our first night camp in the Troopy with the Alu Cab rooftop tent. And that seemed to work okay. Yeah, well, it's cozy in there for 2 people. But we survived. And yeah, so anyway, it's 17.9 degrees, and I know from past experience at 18 degrees or thereabouts, the flies come out, and the flies have started to come out. So I'm going to go back to the fire. Today we drive to Tibooburra and then up. I'm still trying to work out the route I'll take to Birdsville. So depending on whether road conditions again, whether there's any flooding or which roads are open. And then off to the Simpson Desert. How exciting.
Where are they?
There they are.
Yeah, you can't really see them.
Off they go into the bushes.
Completely missed them.
Alright, well we're going to an old homestead called Uracina. Leah and I stayed here 28 years ago.
28 years ago.
And it stayed active for about as a B&B type, bread and breakfast type place. But unless you've got lots of tourists, lots of business here, you're going to go bust. They went bust. And then it's changed hands a number of times and then went into disrepair and the whole place has almost fallen down completely. I have stopped into Uracina on my past desert trips and you'll see that in previous videos on my channel. So the gate was unlocked and almost off its hinges. There are tracks here leading down to the homestead, so we can see if there's anyone down here now. We've got these wires, really low wires here. Let's see whether we get underneath it. Yes, we do.
Is this tractor here?
Yep. Here she be. Looking pretty sad.
Is that a new dwelling?
All the dwellings are here as they were. There she be, the old homestead.
Is that what we stayed in?
Well, I think whoever's arrived here, they've really cleaned up the place. They've got rid of all the dead animals around. They've swept it all up. I think there is a restoration process happening soon. But there's still a lot of work to go. This room has not been done. You can see all the kangaroo poo everywhere. And yep, there's dead animals. Dead animals! That's exactly how the rest of the house was. So someone is cleaning up, which is great. Hopefully it will be restored one day. And you can see there's a lot of work to be done. It's beautiful the way this house has been built. Bricks obviously for the fireplace. Clay, mud, building method is great. I mean, there's a lot of clay around the place, and it provides really quite a natural colour to the walls. Deep red colour. So all you have to do is just put on some timber and some white architraves and skirting boards and cornices, and you've got a really nice looking room. That's how I remember it. Yes, a bit of carpentry to do. Termites eventually eat out any timber that isn't rock hard. And here you can see the clay bricks falling apart as the moisture gets into them. But that can be all restored back to new one day. And then the plaster's put over the clay bricks here, and you get a really nice finish. Whitewash, I suppose, is that what they used to call it. Let's see how the kitchen's looking. And the kitchen has been tidied up as well. Very nice. Looking very good. It's just so close to being maybe in operation again, believe it or not. Yes, they've cleaned out the kitchen cupboards. There were dead animals around here as well once upon a time. And then there's your icebox. The last calendar here, Australian weather calendar 2007, and there's Antarctica. So these old ice boxes are great. You can just look how solid it is, how thick it is. So I think he put the ice in there or something like that. And then that kept this room fairly cool. That's it, yeah. And then you'd have a cool room. Enough of the tour, I suppose. If you want to know more about Eurocena, just go to the website, and then there will be an update on what's happening at this wonderful old homestead. Oh, we'll go through the servants' quarters, through the window. And that's Eurocena, the way it is right now in 2022. It will be interesting to see whether it gets renovated and repaired. One day we'll have to come back again and check it out. Lots of interesting stuff around here. Not unusual out here, is it? All right, well, enjoy your trip. See you.
checking this out.
Is he alive?
I think he's acting dead.
Right?
The first line of defence for the bearded dragon is act dead.
Is that right?
Yeah. Just seeing whether he's breathing.
He doesn't look dead. He's got a good colour.
Is his eyes following me?
Don't touch him.
Well, that's one way to find out whether he's alive or not. Hello?
Oh,
Yes, he is! Like I said, the bearded dragon first line defence is to act dead. Oh well, we'll try and photograph him. Good morning, YouTube followers. Really Flicks Adventure, YouTube followers. We found a new track that I haven't been on called the Ball Track, which is leading up to Inaminka. It's a good place to camp at night. Weather's changed, it's gone cloudy, but it's really mild temperatures right now, 25 degrees, so it's beautiful temperatures. And we're heading to Inaminka, and then we're heading to Birdsville. We're going to restock before we get ready to go across the Simpson Peninsula. So this was our second night of camping in the Alucab roof tent. And any verdict?
Once you're in there, it's a comfortable, solid night's sleep. Quiet, cool, air conditioning, all the mod cons.
Air conditioning, which means there's lots of ventilation. Anyway, no other traffic on this track. We're all on our own here. The type of tracks that I love the most when I do my adventure outback journeys in Australia is these tracks that just have two tyre tracks going somewhere into the never never. And it's like every moment is exploration. You never know what you're going to find. But I think that's probably the most exciting part. It's just never knowing what's going to be around the next corner and how well can you accommodate the new situation. And needless to say, that lends itself really well to photography as well, to see how creative you can be with the different scenes that you see. The other thing you have to worry about, I suppose, when you have these two tracks, and if there's a lot of grass like spinifex or dry grass, you can get caught underneath the car, and you have to just check that every now and then. So if the grass does pile up around the exhaust pipe that's really hot, you can have fires. That's usually one of the biggest disasters that four-wheel drivers have out in the bush. Well, we've reached Inaminka, so at Cooper Creek, and there's quite a bit of water flowing down from the north, and that's all flowing down eventually into Lake Eyre. So there should be a lot of wildlife, a lot of bird life, fish life, etc. in the waters, which will make for an interesting crossing at Simpson Desert. The temperature right now is about 33, which is probably not too bad for Central Australia. And my new awning is working a treat, my instant awning. And you can see how it fits. Tennis ball, 3 tent poles, a drop chute, and a couple of carabiner clips and some elastic cable here. And that's basically how the whole thing holds together. And it works so well. So when you want shade, as we do right now, we're going to have some lunch, or when it's raining and you need some shelter. Brilliant, 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 brilliant. Best invention
I've ever made, I think, for my Troopy. Travelling the desert roads of outback Australia inevitably means that you're going to have to pass some road trains. It's not too bad if they're coming towards you, as long as you sort of stop and give a lot of berth. Their dust trail is so thick you can't see a thing. The issue is, when you're following a road train, you want to overtake them. And there is a road train ahead of us right now. It's going to be a challenge. See what happens here. Are we good to overtake you guys? Thanks. Alright, now for the road train. And I think he might pull over, but we'll ask him anyway. Is it okay to overtake your road train? Not yet. Okay, I'll hang behind you. Look at that dust. Thanks. Was that exciting? High tension. There's some water on the track, but it's not too bad right now. Things have been drying out. Whether there'll be more coming up, not sure. Well, it looks like there's still enough water on the road for bypasses to be used. Change the plan, we'll go around this one. Not entirely sure what's happened to this car, but obviously it's no good anymore. So whether it just broke down and been vandalized and then set alight, who knows? But I've no doubt there is a history there somewhere, but it's definitely had a fire. Oh well, maybe there'll be some more information available somewhere. So this is typically what's called a stony desert. Lots of stones everywhere. all shapes and sizes. Occasionally, what's that? A bottle. So yeah, some glass has been melted here. It could have been part of the headlight from the car. And if you're lucky, you might even find a meteorite. Or more the meteors that fall in Central Australia. Anyway, it's about 33 degrees Celsius right now. Windy, you might have picked up on the microphone here. And I guess it's going to get hotter. I've visited this homestead a number of times, and over the years, I guess over the last 28 years, and it is falling into disrepair, to say the least. It was 1988. I think I was here in 92. 92, that's when I was here last. Maybe it was 94. But anyway, pretty close to the mark. These walls were standing at the time. But, you know, things move on, and unfortunately it falls apart. There will be some details in the video of this homestead. What have you done to our four-wheel drive? It was working a minute ago.
It's so cute. Have a look. What do you reckon? What sort of car is it?
We've got a big brown snake here on the road. I don't want to get too close to him because they're really fast. Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, I'm afraid I know how fast you are, Mr. Brown Snake. I'm not going to get anywhere near you. One of the most poisonous snakes in the world. You don't want to get bitten by him. We're here at the beginning of the Simpson Desert, and we're in Birdsville, about to leave Birdsville. Restocked, met up with Don Rowlands, and there was a video that I did with Don Rowlands way back, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, where Don and I went out into the Simpson Desert to some of the remote areas to tell some of the dreaming stories of Simpson Desert. There'll be a link there in the movie. But anyway, so now we're heading out into Simpson Desert. It is open. The track to Dalhousie Spring, of course, is only 4-wheel drive only, and we'll be heading out there. There are a number of routes: the French line, the WAA line, I think, the Rig Road as well. So there's a couple of tracks, and we will, depending on the conditions where we want to go, we might sort of zigzag our way across the Simpson Desert. Weather conditions are perfect right now, so 23 degrees, really mild. There are some storms still coming in. I'm not entirely sure whether they'll come in while we're actually in the Simpson, but later on in the trip they may well be hitting us. So our first stop will be Big Red, the largest sand dune in the Simpson Desert. And the first challenge will be doing Little Red and then Big Red. So Big Red's the largest sand dune in the Simpson Desert. But we've got some prep work to do on the car before we even do Little Red, just to lower the tyre pressures down.
What's the full pressure of the tyres normally?
Normal pressure on the road at the back is 48 pounds pressure. So if you think about that, we're going right down to 25. And even at the front, we're running at about 42, which we're taking down to 15. So I've got these little devices. I think they're called strawn tyre pressure releases. I'll have some details there in the video. And that, I just screw those onto the valves, and that you can preset them to certain pressures where they'll just turn off automatically. My tread is basically touching that much area right now. And if I let it down a little bit more, I can make that area, increase that area to about there. And that evens out the pressure across the sand so they don't get bogged down. That's the theory. Let's see whether this just works. Yeah. Alright, so that theory works. Low ratio, second gear. No momentum necessary, just gradually going up. And theoretically the tyre should be just right to be able to do Big Red as well. It's always a bit anxious this moment. There's a number of tracks going up to Big Red. So we'll just give this a go, but we're going to do low ratio, second gear, and maximum revs, and just see how we roll. We need more momentum. All right, at least we know now. Okay, so we have to reverse all the way back. All right, well, we didn't make it that time, so I'll still stay in second gear, low ratio. Max out the revs. I have reduced the tyre pressure down to about 18 or 19 pounds in the back, and the front's still about 15. And we'll see whether that can do it. Okay. So tyre pressure makes a big difference. From 25 at the back to 18 at the back, that made the difference. Well, Big Red is definitely the playground of anyone crossing the Simpson Desert. So it's worth spending a bit of time here and just enjoying it, and watching people with their different vehicles trying to get up the different tracks on Big Red. I have noticed that one of my tyres is not in top condition. Looks like the tyre has been spiked. You can see how it's the tyre wall here. The tyres I've chosen to use are Cooper's STT Pros. Now what's so good about these is that they've got a really strong carcass, both on the tread as well as on the wall. So I'm not too concerned about the damage here to the tyre. We'll just have to monitor that. I do have 2 spare tyres, but I won't be able to do anything about these tyres until I get to Alice Springs, I suspect. This guy's been up and down already about 10 times, and he loves it. Up he goes again, and a piece of cake. Going up the sand dune can be scary, but sometimes going down the sand dune is even scarier. Now we went up in second gear, so the idea is to actually go down the same gear, but we can't see whether anyone's coming up the tracks. Alright, and now we're going down in second gear. Keep the momentum going. Don't change directions, stay in the wheel ruts. is if a car this size goes on an angle, you will flip and roll. There you go. That's my lesson for today. I'll keep my tyre pressures as they are for probably for at least the rest of the day, I'd say, because I know from past experience the next few dunes are pretty soft when approaching from the east side. We're crossing the Simpson Desert from east to west. The prevailing wind is from west to east, and the sand dunes face north-south, and there's 1,000 of those that we actually have to cross. With the wind coming from the west, it means that you do sometimes have a more gentle slope on the west side and a steep drop-off on the right, on the east side. So traveling east to west means we're going up the steep side and then down the west side. Look, I don't know which is easier. They both have their different challenges. Most people come from the west, and therefore the west side tends to be dug out and rutty, and sometimes the east side is nice and smooth even though it's steeper. We'll find out, won't we?
Yippee!
Well, I've never seen so many snakes out in the Simpson Desert. Another brown snake, and he's curled, ready to strike. Okay. Alright, let's see you later, Mr. Snake. Not as big as the last one. Bye! We're on channel 10 as far as the UHF is concerned, so I might just make myself announced. Okay, it's westbound traffic leaving Big Red, just in case there's anyone coming towards Big Red right now. Alright, I'm not expecting any response. We're at the end of the tourist season and traffic has reduced quite substantially right now. Alright, on to the next dune. So again, from past experience, I have known that this dune is also quite challenging, so we'll stick to the same routine. Low ratio, second gear, lots of revs, and theoretically we should get over it in one go. Voila! Alright, so at this stage I go back to high ratio, and that way I can just engage whatever gear I need. The going between the sand dunes is usually pretty good. There will be salt pans that we have to cross as well. They can be really treacherous. That's still yet to come. But I think we're going to just have a nice easy go. Well, not easy go, but I think just consistent now. Sand dune after sand dune after sand dune. With lots of yee-haw bumpy rides in between. Alright, so I'm going to try this time in high ratio first gear with some momentum. Alright, so high ratio first gear works as well. It depends on the sand dune. With the coming from the east side, that last little section, you go up the track, and that last little section there will always be a slight, well, there'll be a crest on it, which then goes steep, really clear sand, and then back over again. And that's where you've got to have enough momentum not to drop off there, because it's usually wind-blowing sand that's really soft.
If we get stuck, who's going to help us?
Ah, that's why you have a passenger. Always need a passenger. Get out there and dig, get out there and push. Yeah, well, maybe actually you have to be really nice to your passenger if you want a passenger at all. You need a desert pass to track or go across the Simpson Desert, and covers for a number of national parks in South Australia. So that's what the desert pass looks like, and there's a whole bunch of useful information in there, and no doubt worth reading. But I guess it's a bit like instructions, you know, when all else fails, then read the instructions. But one new thing that I've noticed on the track, and that's these calling points. This is Q5. And I guess in an emergency, if you are calling and using satellite phones or navigation systems that can actually text messages, then you can notify where you are if you need assistance, besides GPS readings, of course. Yes, there's still some water about on the track, and so we're just using the side tracks rather than getting the car muddy. Don't want to get the car muddy. Since we're travelling alone, I much prefer to take the safer track. The last thing I want to do is try and do a recovery by ourselves. And being at the end of the season means there's a lot less vehicles on the track. So recovery could be some time away. Well, it's been an interesting drive so far. We've only done 90 kilometres since Birdsville and probably about 40 kilometres from Big Red heading west. We've passed two vehicles. One vehicle was at Birdsville heading west, and a Hilux twin cab with a tray on the back and a big camper set out on the back. Anyway, they broke the backbone of their Hilux, and they had to turn around and they were heading slowly back to Birdsville. We've just come across a big tough American Ram vehicle, and only literally maybe 10-20 kilometers down the track here, it's heading west. The same thing happened to them, where the backbone of the four-wheel drive just goes like that, and then the part that's hanging on the rear sitting on top of the rear axle just bends the frame, just shakes it. It's incredible.
Driving along through this magnificent desert, I can't help but notice some of the rubbish that people have been left behind. So I can't just let it sit there. I'm going to collect it and take it out, and that will be my service to community.
We have a bag on the back, on the spare wheel at the back. It's called a wheelie bin bag. So I think limitation will be the capacity of that bag.
That looks like it's been here a while. Very old can, full of sand, and in the bin it goes.
Not a movement from this bearded dragon. Well, this is the first attempt at making damper. Almost there. We've got some good bits there, and some burnt bits, and the base is obviously burnt as well. But I think we're gonna have inside should be good with some butter. I reckon it's gonna be just right. If you really want to top it off, you can just add a little bit of honey on there as well. Bit of honey. Yummy. It's day 2 after leaving Birdsville. So we had a good night's camp. Yeah, so not much traffic. We've had a bit of traffic travelling east this morning, but pretty uneventful and beautiful day. It's it's beautiful temperature, 24 degrees. So there's a bit of moisture still left here in the Simpson desert. You can tell by the type of plants that are around the place. Like this really succulent one here. I mean, it's so moist. it'll be just a matter of, I suppose, days. Well, I suppose with so much rain around the place, and there's still forecast rain coming, there's so much moisture still in the sand and close to the surface in the water table to provide moisture for plants like this to survive. Otherwise you have the really spiky things like that come and go. Yeah, well, that's pretty green. Yeah, so it's green. It's not the greenest I've seen the Simpson, and it's definitely not the driest. I mean, in the drought period, this was just all red. Obviously with dead trees around the place. But then these trees, you know, they're really tough and hardy to be able to survive the desert environment. Leah's desperate to find rubbish. She's so disappointed when she can't find anything. Enjoy the walk?
Can you go slowly? I can't see it now.
That's good.
Keep going. Just go slowly. There's something shimmering. Slowly. Stop. I see it.
She found it. She found it. Oh my goodness. The things you do for entertainment.
Headed east to 19.
Read you loud and clear. We're westbound, so we're probably just a sand dune away from you. Are you going to talk? Not going to talk. Thanks. The going is slow. We're probably averaging, I don't know, 20 kilometers an hour or something like that, give or take. And we've just crossed from Queensland into Northern Territory. So we'll be heading to the corner of Northern Territory, South Australia and Queensland called Poeppel's Corner. That's still probably an hour or so away. We can sort of go that way and then it's due south for a while. Yes, well it looks like, this particular salt pan, so we just crossed over into Northern Territory and there'll be more salt pans to cross. The main track or tracks have dried out now, so you can get across these salt pans without necessarily getting wet or bogged, which is good. Because if you get stuck here, well, you could be stuck for a while. Well, here we are, Poeppel's Corner, and yeah, we've got a bit of tourist features, a little information board, and my buddy Don Rowland stars here. A Wanganguri country, and he is a Wanganguri elder. And it's great catching up with him in Birdsville. Anyway, yeah, so the marker for the corner of Northern Territory, Queensland and New South Wales is here. Apparently the original marker was about 200 metres off. Here it is, South Australia, Northern Territory and Queensland. Leah's across the border and I'm across the border. Now I'm in another border. Now I'm in another border. And another border. Is this the most exciting travel you've ever done? There is a visitor's book here at Poeppel's Corner. So we'll sign it. It's there and recorded, and who knows where this book will end up. Alright, well, we've got more salt pans to cross as we continue on, possibly to the French line. See how we go. Yes, you can understand why you need a vehicle that's about the standard size to go through these ruts. If your vehicle's too wide when it's wheelbase or too narrow when it's wheelbase, then you can get quite stuck. That was quite heavy. Oh my goodness. Didn't even happen four-wheel drive. That would have helped. Okay, so that was still quite heavy there. Heavy going. We're be a bit more careful with the salt pans, I'd say. So we actually started the French line now from Poeppel's Corner after that salt pan, and we've got probably about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more salt pans to cross of varying sizes. Okay, let's go. It's been a sort of a rock and roll day. We're going up and down, up and down, up and down on these sand dunes. It's just constantly up and down. It really gets to you after a while. But anyway, out in the desert, everything is sharp, and you have, if you're gonna do anything out here, you have to be prepared that if you're handling anything, put on gloves because you will get prickles. Here's just an example. Look at the size of this giant, enormous prickle. It's huge. Absolutely huge. If you're walking around at all and you step on one of these, you really know about it. There. On with their journey. So I guess we'll be camping somewhere in the sand dunes tonight. There's at least another 150 odd kilometers of sand dunes that we have to cover. So that's probably another 500 sand dune crossings, I'd say. I think most of the salt pans are now left behind, so that won't be too much of a concern. So we found another fantastic camp spot. So what's for dinner?
A vegetable risotto. Yeah, so
how are you going to make it?
Well, we've got some capsicum, chopped up capsicum, some carrot, and garlic and onion, which will go onto a pot, and then the second pot will go onto the rice, and we will have vegetarian risotto a la Simpson. Cooking method here is using this induction stove here, and you put the vegetables in, turn it on, turn it to the heat you want, and I'm just adding water. So what we're finding as we're camping is that it's much easier to wash up and take care of things if we're not using too much oil and fat. So garlic in here, and I'm going to add some seasoning to that.
So what do you think of this whole idea of induction cooking in
Oh,
camping?
it is so fast. Much safer than gas or mucking about with, I don't know, what do we have? Methylated burners or, yes, and it runs off this battery pack here. What is it, an iTech World? And then that then charges up during the day while we're driving. So we have literally have our own power source right here. So easy, quick, very quick to boil water and cook. So you're actually using a lot less energy. So once this cooks a little bit, just let it come to the boil. Cook up the onion and garlic a bit, and then I'll be adding in the capsicum and the carrots. And we're not going to eat all of this tonight. It's actually going to be probably 2 or 3 evenings meals. But again, you know, when we've got a fridge, we can cook once and then just warm it up in the next couple of nights, and it'll be just as good.
Oh, here it is. Vegetarian a la Simpson? Is it risotto a la Simpson?
It is vegetarian risotto a la Simpson.
Okay.
Delicious parsley grown in our garden in Sydney. Still delicious a week later. Bon appetit.
So we have our co-driver taking over right now.
Yeehaw! Oh, there's something right. No, that was just the same. Now what?
Second gear. Steady speed. That's it. Same speed. Don't go any faster. Concentration level. Doing a great job.
Okay, first or second for this one?
Slow down. Slow down first. And first gear.
Oh, there's a big bump there.
That's right, just steady. Just steady, steady.
Car really does do all the work, doesn't it?
That's it. As long as you've got it all set up. And how have you set it up, the car today? Second gear. Now that Leah's an expert in four-wheel driving, we're sort of contemplating how to do this particular track. There's 2 tracks, one off to the left, one off to the right. High ratio, first gear with momentum. Alright, let's give it a go. It's time to take some photographs. But this is a beautiful location here. Outstanding. You meet all sorts of interesting characters on the Simpson Desert, and we've got a special guest from overseas.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Hamad. I am from the United Arab Emirates. I have LC79 Toyota, and I start my trip from Russia. That was in May last year.
Wow.
Yeah, and from Russia to Europe, to Finland, from Finland to Norway, and then to Sweden, to Europe, then to North Africa, to Tunisia, then back to Europe, to Turkey, to Iran, then to Dubai. Then I shipped my car again to Australia. I received my car in Sydney, and I was in Sydney, Brisbane, Alice Springs, Darwin, Perth, and then with the Simpson desert.
Just a little side trip.
Yeah, yeah. Birdsville, then south to Melbourne.
Okay.
Yeah, and after Melbourne, I have no plan, no clear plan. I have many plans, but as you know, you traveled before and you know what's going on. You have many plans, but
adjust accordingly. Yeah. Okay, Hamad and Fahad. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy your trip.
Thank you so much.
And I look forward to catching up with you in Sydney if possible. If not, maybe back in the Middle East somewhere.
Probably, yeah. I will give you my contact. I am in UAE, and more than welcome. I'll be. How can I say? Is settle down again, or just stop? Maybe after 1 year from now.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Life is short and opportunities are rare, so
thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys.
Enjoy the trip.
You too, guys. You too.
All right, we'll just have to plow through this. We have lunch at Colson Track. Today we are planning to get to Dalhousie Springs, and at this rate, with breaks, it's going to be somewhere around the 6 p.m. But Dalhousie Springs is special because besides having toilets and showers, cold showers, not cold showers. The water comes from the spring itself, but by the time it gets to the shower, it's gone cold. But actually, you can swim in the springs, and the temperature of the water is something like 32 degrees Celsius. It's really warm, so looking forward to that. A highlight, a swim tonight and a swim tomorrow morning.
Of rubbish that I've collected, plastic bottles, tins, cans, just by the side of the sand dune, going from Birdsville to Dalhousie Springs. Oh, this is heaven, isn't it? This is just the perfect way to end a 4-day desert journey through the Simpson. Beautiful Dalhousie Springs, 1 million-year-old water. Apparently it's 3 million-year-old water. Anyway, we have one night here, and then we start our adventure journey up to Alice Springs via Fink and the original Ghan railway. We will follow that trail, and we're then heading up to Darwin and across to Birdseye, but more about that later. Bye!
Wonderful swimming in the springs. It's such warm water. So after 3 days out in the Simpson Desert, it was nice to have a bath. But the mozzies are crazy around here, and luckily I've got this awning that has a fly screen. That makes a huge difference. The insects, the mozzies particularly, are just ferocious around here. We're going to continue on to Mount Dare, fill up there, get some supplies, and then go to 2 other scenic locations that I'd like to visit, and that's Chamber Pillars and Rainbow Valley. Coming up. just met up with Emily. Emily and her family were at Dalhousie.
We were sailing down this beautiful road and our tyre overtook us on the highway, so we realised we had blown a bearing. And we're currently just waiting for a couple of different solutions, either a tow or to head back to Newtown Station to have a local help us tow the trailer and fix the bearing on it.
And you had a helicopter also arrive?
We did, while we were standing here. Actually, the lady who collected our wheel, because our wheel went flying down the highway, it was maybe 200 metres in front of us by the time it finally came to a stop. And just at the same time, a lady was driving, heading back towards Mount Dare, and she stopped and she picked up our wheel, put it in the back of her car, and she pulled up next to us and said that she was from the station, Newtown Station.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's the one who, her husband is the helicopter pilot, and he showed up in his helicopter about 45 minutes later. So she's gone back to the station, radioed through to him on the two-way, and he showed up in his helicopter to tell us that he can help us with repairs of our trailer if we want to camp at the station overnight, but he just needs to finish his day's work out droving the cattle, and then he'll come back and tow us to safety.
I think it's a bit of excitement for them.
A bit of an adventure, yeah.
And your kids handling it all right?
They're having a great time playing in the sand. The world's biggest sand pit. We bought their diggers and their figurines, and they're quite happy. So we're heading up to Alice, and we've got friends in Alice who've just had a baby. So we're going to spend a couple of days with them, meet their new family member, and then we're heading back down along the highway back to Adelaide.
Nice. All right, well, enjoy the trip.
Thank you very
And
much.
hopefully your help will arrive shortly.
Thanks for stopping.
You're welcome, Emily. So we'll be following the old Ghan railway track. So it's going, it came here through Fink, and we'll be heading up this track, up in the middle of nowhere, up here, to eventually to Alice Springs, and we'll be following it. The old railway has been pulled up, and the sleepers have been pulled up, and then there's these big railway nails, you know, huge like that, that were just discarded on the track. So one of the biggest problems of anyone going up the old Ghan railway is puncturing their tyres. And that's a possibility. You're gonna have to be careful. We'll see. You'll see. We'll find some nails along the way, and then you'll see what I mean. This might appear like an accident, but high probability is that it's just a discarded car. It's not unusual for cars in Central Australia that are unwanted eventually get rolled onto their roof, and then whatever parts you can grab, you basically recycle. Yeah, so there's definitely an opportunity for Australia Day, well, not Australia Day, but Council Collection Day out here, and it's not unusual for four-wheel drive organisations to come out and actually do a collection. But when they pulled up the track, they left all the nails behind. So this is some screw mounts, whatever. So I just found just in there, basically. And there's more on this track. You just pull it up. There you go. We've got an old peg here. They're just scattered everywhere here. And here's another one. Okay, that's a bolt. I'll throw them off to the side of the track so at least other vehicles don't come and puncture their tyres. I'll be a good boy. What are donkeys doing out here? We've arrived at Chambers Pillar. It's beautiful lighting right now. It's overcast, but that provides this amazing colour of the cloud and the red dirt. The spinifex grass here, which is as sharp as anything. And not the fluffy stuff at the top here, but when you get down to here, that is so sharp. But we are almost right smack in the centre of Australia. 2,500 odd kilometres in all directions before you hit the ocean. and a fly on the lens. Lots of flies. Spend the night and then we'll find a unusual track, not often used, to get to a place called Rainbow Valley. I discovered a track on a previous trip, and there are a lot of roads that are marked on maps, the topographic maps, etc. And a lot of them aren't used, and if they're not used, then they overgrow, and before you know it, you can't get access to them anymore. So every now and then I do some exploring to see whether we can get to a road that hasn't been used for a while and rejuvenate it. So this is one of those. We've reached the new Ghan Railway. Here it is. It stretches all the way up there to Alice Springs and then all the way down there to Adelaide. And there is a track that goes out this way, but then it's not marked on the map in any way. And then we do have the Fink River, which is dry this time of year. Well, not. It's dry when it's not raining. When it's raining, it flows. And so I'm not sure about that way, but we can follow this track along the railway here, which eventually brings us to another track which will take us back to Stewart Highway. Well, I'm at the National Transport Museum Hall of Fame, and I'm on the Old Ghan Railway. This magnificent museum, really unique here in Australia. The Old Ghan Railway, where I'm sitting in one of the carriages right now, as well as an outstanding collection of trucks and automobiles explaining the history, a collection of transport history since the early days, earliest 1900s. It's amazing. So if you're ever traveling through Alice Springs, you really need to visit this museum. Good morning. Well, I think we're probably about day 9, day 10 or thereabouts. And well, we've crossed the Simpson Desert and we ended up in Alice Springs for a few days. No, actually for a day. And now we're heading up north up to Darwin. And it took 2,500, well, it was 2,500 kilometers. No, it was 3,000 kilometers. 3,000 kilometers to get to Alice Springs. And now it's another 1,500 kilometers from Alice Springs to Darwin. We drove about 800 kilometers yesterday on sealed roads, going north, due north. And we've got a roadside camp here. And it's a pretty noisy roadside camp, I would say. Heading up north now, and we've got a memorial here. You know, in Australia it's all about just stopping wherever there is some sort of a feature. This memorial is to the Overland Telegraph that was established only. This is the Overland Telegraph. What's so special about the Overland Telegraph in Australia? It was the first time that there was instant communication between Australia and Great Britain. And that was established on Thursday, August the 22nd of 1872. And I'll be able to show you some of the old steel. Oh, I guess originally the telegraph line was just a wire stretched all the way from Adelaide, for example, going up north, and all the way to Great Britain. It's amazing. The weather is hotter. It's it's not, I mean, massively high humidity, but the temperature is about 33 degrees Celsius and overcast. And there's storms expected, I believe, coming in from the west. We'll see whether that eventuates or not. Well, the good thing about travel, meeting people along the way, is you get little hints and tips as far as where to go and what to see and where to stay. And Daily Waters was one of those recommended locations. It's unusual, the pub is unusual, and there's a collection of all sorts of weird stuff. Let's have a look. Well, imagine Daily Waters is the place to stay in the evening. It'd be rocking here with bands playing and a great opportunity to meet people. Oh well, here at the wrong time of the day. I suppose 10 days in the desert. So the further north we go, the more tropical everything becomes. Enjoying the Mataranka.
Mataranka, 50 years old.
Mataranka Spring.
It was like a resort swimming pool now. There was none of this built up. It was just a beautiful Asia-coloured natural spring.
Well, there is another spring around the corner there, so I have to check it out, see whether that's more natural rather than a swimming pool.
Okay.
You can just see the water bubbling up. And these are the thermal springs, so it's nice water. It's not too hot. Imagine if you get right where the thermal spring is coming up, it might be a bit warmer. A nice, pleasant, I guess around the 28-degree mark, or thereabouts. And then that flows down into the pool down there where you're allowed to swim, but unfortunately not swim anywhere else around here. So I think we might head further north to Litchfield National Park and see what sort of swimming we can get there. Now it's all about swimming, water and swimming as we go further north, and rain. It works! The magnificent tarpaulin, tent pole, tarpaulin barn door troopy. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Well, after being in the desert for 10 odd days, it's so different coming up into Darwin, and then now the wet season seems to have arrived early. And everything is so wet. But it's a pleasant change to be wet as opposed to dry. Anyway, we'll be here for the next few days, do a bit of tourist stuff before heading back down and across to the west to the Kimberleys. Put your hand out again.
Well, the thing is, it's happened 3 times before.
Oh, gotcha.
Nice. Oh man, that's so good. We can do all day swimming. Oh, alright. Nice. I mean, speak. What you
Getting out. Here we go.
I can do it. I'm on land. We're on land. That's the best. I did it.
Almost. No, you're going to slide back in.
It's fine. I still think that might
You did it. Now you got to go. Ta-da! Made it to Darwin, yippee! And here we are, beautiful temperatures. Well, it's hot and humid, and the storms are coming in, and it should be exciting. I'm not going to stay too close to the water's edge too long because this is croc-infested Darwin, and the crocs are in the salt water, out here in the beaches, going to the lagoons, from the lagoons, hunting for food. And the water's cloudy, so you've got no chance of seeing what's actually down there. Anyway, it's fun. Here we are. We're in Darwin. We're going around different locations, doing a bit of checking out a few swimming holes in Litchfield National Park. And then we're heading south back to Catherine before we head west towards the Kimberleys. More adventure. One of the last updates I did was in Darwin, there on the coast. So we went down through Litchfield National Park again, and down to Catherine Gorge. You will see some sights here and there. And now we're heading west to Broome, and heading down the Victoria Highway, I think they call it. And it's 38, 39, 40 degrees Celsius. And anyway, a place called Timber Creek right now, and it's an escarpment, it's a range. What's it, Gregory Range or something like that? Anyway, there'll be a link in the video. And there's some really great free camping spots, and this must be one of those. So on top of the escarpment, just above Timber Creek. It's a place to go if you're travelling through here. We've got more cumulus nimbus clouds, so there might be some thunderstorms later in the afternoon. Not entirely sure where we're going to be camping en route to Kununurra. Whether we get there or whether we camp somewhere in the bush, yet to be seen. Alright, back onto the road. Temperature right now on top of the escarpment was 39 degrees Celsius.
Well, welcome to the Australian bush. We're in a place called the Bungles, and we've got some unusual landforms around here. You can just see in the distance, northwest Australia, where it's getting really hot. Right now it's about 40 degrees Celsius, and we're going for a walk. Okay, there's about 3 walks here, and they go into the canyons that are amongst these unusual sedimentary type forms that have been eroded millions of years by water and wind. And we're going to a place called the Cathedral, which will be nice and cool, hopefully, within the canyon. There are a couple other walks, but we won't be doing those because we have to walk out in the sun for 10 kilometers, and then 40 degrees Celsius you have to carry a lot of water and you have to drink a lot of water. We've got about 3 litres of water between us, so I think that'll be just enough for this return journey of about 3 or 4 kilometres for the two of us. Adventure 8 arrives. Thank you, Leah. Yes, well, the good thing about end of season means that there's no one around. So normally I have been here in May, and there are, I would say, at least 100 people here mulling around. And now there are only 2. Leah and I, the cathedral, all to ourselves. And good morning, yes, another day in wonderful Bungles. And yesterday we walked on the east side of the Bungles to Cathedral track. And today we're on the west side, so doing an early morning start. It's 7:30 in the morning. And so approaching the cool side in the morning, and we're in a place called Echidna Chasm, and it's really lush in here. You can see all sorts of palm trees in the background, and we're at the mouth of the chasm. The rock around here is conglomerate, which is a combination of sandstone, clay and river rock, and all these mountains are made of this conglomerate, and occasionally you see huge boulders of conglomerate that actually have fallen down as well. That is an area of risk around here. Being conglomerate, it cracks up and then big boulders fall down. Hopefully that won't be an issue for us. Well, from memory, this is the first part of the chasm. Now, apparently we have to scramble over rocks to get to the next part, which will be further in there. Whew. It's nice and cool in here. Not much light, other than light coming straight from above. There. Sort of a slither of light up through the chasm. But we'll continue to the darkness. That was a Echidna chasm. Travelling across west of the Bungles, and we've arrived at Fitzroy Crossing. This is the place to be. It's a campsite, Fitzroy River Lodge. After being out driving across 40 degrees Celsius, so we're going to spend the night here camping. Brilliant site out there, fantastic, and go to the bar, have a few drinks, and enjoy the restaurant for the evening before we head further west to Broome. We're in a location called Derby, or Derby, D-E-R-B-Y, Derby. Anyway, and it's 40 degrees Celsius right now. That's in the shade, so in the sun it's probably more like 48 or... Things heat up really quickly. My iPhone stopped working completely. It just went into a mode called exceeding operating temperature. So I managed to take a photograph and then it just stopped. So I'm with a GoPro right now. So anyway, this is a Boab tree, and yeah, there's a lot of these trees around Northern Territory and Northern Australia, and this particular one was used as a staging prison. Yeah, unfortunately, again, this is part of the sad story, is that Aboriginal people were rounded up to put to as slaves to put to work in the pearling industry of Western Australia, to act as divers. And it was not unusual for groups to be sort of caught and to be marched to the coast, and this was one of the staging points where they actually put people inside this. So it's called a Boab prison tree. Let's have a closer look. So these Boab trees are renowned for keeping moisture within the trunk to prolong longevity in these long drought areas. So you can see how much space there is inside. So not nice as a prison, but it is a cool area. So if you want to get out of the sun, it does actually offer you some shade as well. But you may have to share it with things like bats and insects and snakes and mosquitoes, because this would be a favourite spot for them as well. Alright. Well, I'm glad I'm not a prisoner and have to reside in this tree. The Boab tree also has nuts. You can just see some of those. I'll have a close-up later on.
And those nuts, when they fall off the tree, they dry out. There's a pith inside the nut, which is high in vitamin C.
là. I love my life and the people in it.
We get the shade, and he hasn't had to take the shade down.
No, it's still recording.
Oh,
My pole came undone here, so my retractable shade collapsed. Well, that's all right. Now it's okay because I fixed it. And it's working a treat. So we've got a nice cool wind coming in from over there. And this should hold. So we've got nice cool area underneath the shade, ready for lunch. This isn't actually our lunch spot, but this is some photographs that we took on the way down from Broome. We've just done 1,000 kilometres over 2 days. Yeah, this is a side trip coming down from Broome down to Karajini National Park. 1,000 kilometres down, 1,000 kilometres back.
The road trains were absolutely chaotic coming down. The track goes from Broome across to Port Hedland and then down to Karajini. And the road from Port Hedland down to Karajini, there was just road trains endlessly, every few minutes, going north and going south. It was horrendous. But anyway, we made it. We're going to be here for a few days, do a few gorge walks, swimming holes. We've had some high temperatures, around 40 degrees or so. It's going to be great just exploring and doing some walking down here in this national park. Welcome to Hancock Gorge, and this is called foot massage on pebbles.
This is a rock massage.
Rock massage, that's right, on your pebbles, on your feet. You got a good style there.
Maybe shoes would have been good.
Just walk that way.
Hey?
Like walking on the moon. And you see how deep it is, and that way I know.
That way you know.
I'm standing on the pebbles right now, so neck deep. And it's just at some stage you've got to start swimming, I suppose. So this is a class 5 walk. So this is the highest class that there is in Karajini and the most difficult. And the reason being is that it's slippery and you have to be agile. And you've got rocks to climb over and pools to swim through. But if you're up for it, it's worth it. The scenery is just incredible. Karajini must be one of my favourite national parks. This is called spider walk, I think, where you basically have to have hands against the wall because the ground is so slippery, and just navigate your way down. You can practice your laps here. That was Jay, and Jay is looking after, he's been here for 6 years, and looking after the gorges. All of them are his favourites, and the best time to view the gorges if you can. If you're an early bird, is early in the morning. You get beautiful colours.
Hey, do this. All right.
Well done. Yeah.
What's for dinner tonight?
Spaghetti a la, where are we? Karajini? Spaghetti a la Karajini out of Ghan. And famous.
Baked beans a la Port Hedland out of Ghan.
I think it's hot. Takes me back to when I was a kid.
Except you're using induction cooking now.
Yeah, very quick.
Powered by what?
Powered by, is it high-tech world?
High-tech world. 1300p power station. It's a plug.
It's a plug. Alright, look at this. Yeah.
So how does cooking with induction compared to gas and methane burners for camping?
Oh, doesn't compare.
What, gas
there's
and...
no gas, there's no smell, there's no hissing.
So is it better or worse?
Oh, induction, there's no comparison.
So is it better or worse?
Much better.
Right.
Much better. Modern technology. Didn't ever say.
We're in Gorge in Karajini National Park, and this area here was used, actually a lot of mining was going on here for asbestos, and well, we all know that asbestos fibre is now really dangerous and should not be inhaled in any way, but in its raw form it's quite interesting, quite beautiful in its raw form. And this gorge is particularly a great example for seeing asbestos in its raw form. And it's on this sort of slate area here where you'll find it in the seams. We have a dark seam and a light seam. And in the darker seam you can see this purple. And it's sort of like a fibre that's in the in the seam here. And it doesn't break off, it's, you know, it is soft, but it is fibrous like fiberglass. And yeah, that's your blue asbestos, and it's everywhere here in the seams. You can see it's quite blue, and there again. And yeah, there's a piece that's broken off, and you can see it here all along the lines. There you go. There'll be other examples in this gorge as we walk through it. We're at Fern Falls on Dale's Gorge. Oh. Nothing like a Thai foot massage. And the highlight of Karajini is definitely the gorges with the swimming holes. So at least you can come and swim here, regardless of the extreme temperatures sometimes that are here. Today is a nice cool 30 odd degrees Celsius, I think. Alright, let's try and get a head massage here.
all the way around. Well, that is king. That's why I continued filming.
Navigate here. And slippery rocks. Ooh. You're going into the abyss. Everybody else has stopped. Leah continues on. Dog paddle.
It's very cold.
So my turn to go into the cold water. It's about, yeah, I guess as you get further into this region, the colder the water gets. All right, I'm still coming. Oh, I can start to see the light. And here's that magnificent orange light. Apparently only happens around midday. And the water is pretty cool here. Can you stand up? Oh. I can stand up. It's not so bad. This is the end of the walk. So you need permission to go beyond this point. But at least we can get the shot.
Phil right out rock on that. You know, Gorge.
Well, things happen in a big way out here in the west. Looks like these brand new cars, maybe not brand new cars, but anyway, cars that were being transported didn't quite make it today. Well, this would have happened the last few days, because when we came down here to go down to Karajini, that wasn't there. Imagine putting your car on the truck and saying, yeah, can you ship it down to Perth for me? I don't want to drive. Well, your car arrived, but not in the best condition, I'm afraid. Overheated a little bit. For a bit of an update, noticed that one passenger less. Well, Leah flew back to Sydney from Broome, and now I'm heading back to Sydney, and I'm sort of deciding which route to take. As always, I try and find one that's more interesting than not. So the plan at this stage is to go down the Tanami track, which is a pretty remote track. There used to be a fuel stop halfway along the track. It's a dirt road, corrugated dirt road, so pretty rough. That fuel stop at Rabbit Flat, I believe, is not operating anymore. So you have to carry enough fuel to do that entire distance. So the fill-up point's going to be Halls Creek, which is about 150 odd kilometres away. So I'll fill up there, and then I'll start to tackle the Tanami. So the distance to cover is about 1,100 kilometres. I'm sort of experimenting at different speeds to see what sort of range I can get out of the car. Travelling at about 90 kilometres an hour right now, and I'm getting probably about 15 litres to the 100 kilometres. Theoretically, that would give me just enough range to do the trip. But corrugations, dirt roads, I'm expecting the fuel consumption to be higher. I am carrying 2 extra jerry cans of diesel, so that's my backup, so I can at least do some side trips. One of those side trips is Wolf Creek Crater. A big meteorite hit the ground and there's a crater there. It's about 1 kilometre in diameter. One of the joys of travelling, I think, doesn't matter where you travel, is the people that you meet along the way. It's always interesting to get their story, what they're doing, how they're doing it. I just met with Peter. He's from Sydney. He's got a Croatian background, and he's riding his bicycle all the
way around Australia. Right now it's really difficult because, okay, riding in the morning you can get away with riding in 35, 40 degrees, 42 degrees Celsius, and you consume a huge amount of water. So at least I was able to donate some water to him and fill up all of his water bottles. He's also carrying about 20 litres on his bicycle. He does have a website on Facebook, some photos. I'll have some links in the video as well. Yeah, so hats off to him. It's pretty hot out there, and he's doing it on his own. So he's been riding for a while. He's going to go all the way around Australia. I think he's planning to finish his trip around March of 2023. So check out his website or his Facebook link. Send him a few likes and Cheerios.
One of the biggest challenges out here in the desert is access to water. I'm carrying about 60 litres of water, so in 3 separate jerry cans I was able to take one of those jerry cans and fill up Peter's water. He needed another 4 or 5 litres. He was carrying 20 litres of water on his bicycle as well, across a whole bunch of different bottles and containers. Tough gig. I'm glad I'm driving and not bicycle riding. Okay, on with the Tanami. Alright, well this is the beginning of the Tanami Road, or the Tanami track down to Alice Springs. And still there's no indication of how many kilometres it is, but whatever it is. I guess my guess it's going to be 1,100 or thereabouts. What else can I tell you? It's hot. It's 40 degrees Celsius right now, and I guess it's going to get hotter. You really notice it when you stop. Just the radiation from the ground and everything, I guess it feels more like 50. And then this hot wind is also adding to the complexity of it all. I'm going to spend probably at least one night out in the desert on this road, bush camping, which will be good. So depending on how many stops, there may be even 2 nights. There is a Aboriginal settlement as well here, community at Boab. And you can pick up artworks there as well. I'll be driving past there, but I'm not entirely sure whether I'll be actually stopping in for the artwork. The corrugations on this dirt road are pretty bad, so it's not unusual for little side tracks to be formed like this one, to give it a smoother ride. Have arrived at Wolf Creek Crater. Yes, a crater created by a meteorite. I believe it will be an amazing sight once I get the drone up. Right now it's 42 degrees Celsius. It's a 400-meter return journey up the top there, so I'll fly the drone around the place first and then have a look at it. So this meteorite that hit was pretty impressive. It happened 300,000 years ago. It was traveling 15 kilometers per second. It's estimated that the meteor was weighed in at something like 50,000 tons. That's incredible. So I guess that sort of sprayed stuff all over the place, probably 4 kilometers. And if you're lucky, you can pick up a fragment somewhere. Could be metal. I've got a little magnet, so I can sort of go around and poke around and see whether I can actually find something to stick to the magnet. Flying in 42 degrees Celsius has its challenges. Even this drone here, I've got the Mavic 2 Pro here, and the body is so hot you could hardly touch it on the sides here. It's so hot. It's amazing that it actually flew. I probably flew for about 15 minutes taking photographs and video, and it held up. Well done, Mavic. The other thing that overheats all the time is the iPhone in these conditions. So luckily there's a shelter here, so I'm not getting the radiant heat from the sun, otherwise it would just shut off immediately. As it is, the screen has gone dark, because once we're about 42 degree air temperature, that's what happens. You can't even charge a device when it's this hot. And you need the smartphone for this controller to operate. But even this controller was overheating, and there was a fan in there, and that was going berserk, trying to pump the air through the controller to keep everything working. Alright, so that's operating cameras, drones in Australian conditions at 42 degrees and above. Okay, let's go find some fragments of meteor. I have my magic wand, so there you go, extendable wand here, and on the end I've just got a conventional iron magnet on here. And the theory is that the meteorite, once it's broken up, should be just molten metal, burnt metal that solidifies. So if you go hunting around in the dirt with this, then you might find something that's metal and might be part of a meteor. Right. Okay, so the good news and the bad news is that this is iron ore country, and iron is also can be attracted to a magnet. So we've got a number of exhibits here. We've got some stuff here. So look, nothing there. Some poo. That's no good. And then we've got some other rocks that I just picked up here. So look at this. That one. That one. That's got quite a bit of metal in it, just stick. Those 3 little bits there stick easily. So are they bits of meteor? Well, I don't know. But I can sort of make believe that it is. And then I've found a little bit of something that's 300,000 years old. It's pretty hot, so hopefully there's no snakes around the place. The trick with snakes, especially the venomous ones, is to stomp your feet and they feel the vibrations, and then they scatter, hopefully, back into their hole. I'm trying to avoid these flies, but nothing much you can do about that. I might just look and stop rabbiting on. Talking about rabbiting on, the last fuel stop that was here, a couple 100 kilometers down the road here, was called Rabbit Flats. I believe that is the wreck or the ruins of Rabbit Flats will be there. but no one is operating, so there's no fuel. That's the reason why I've got to have enough fuel to get to Alice Springs. Not too many side trips, otherwise I will run out. Okay, I'll give this another 5 minutes and report back if I find anything significant. I did meet someone else at Wolf Creek Crater coming up the Tanami track, and they did confirm that there is fuel available in 2 locations. Billa Luna, which is probably about 50 k's down the line, and then at the other end of the Tanami track, I think closer to Alice Springs, there is another location there where fuel is available about 700 kilometers down the track. So I won't have any problems with fuel. I have enough fuel to get to Alice Springs, but anyway, it's nice to know. Okay, on with the journey. It's out of control here with this fire that you can see in the background, but this is all controlled burning. It looks pretty horrendous, doesn't it? But that's how the desert is controlled. There's a lot of spin effects around the place, and if you just burn it off bit by bit all over the place, then you won't have an intense fire. You'll just have these smaller fires that are purposely lit, that sort of burn and find their own path and leave sections there that aren't burnt, so that, you know, some wildlife can survive. Pretty severe, but anyway, that's the way it is in Australia. Fire, we have to live with fire. Okay, I've finally come to a stop. It's been a long day today. Driving along the Tanami and have some dinner. It's still about 35 degrees Celsius. Bugs galore. But where the breeze is, which is at the back, no bugs. And this other side of the car, there's still a little bit of a breeze, no bugs. Dinner time, and maybe some night sky photography. Good morning. Yeah, well, in the middle of the Tanami desert right now, and found this truck stop. I'd say it must have been about 9:30 at night, and there was still one road train that came through at that time, or soon after, crawling along at about 10 kilometers an hour. I guess that's what they do at night time. And on these corrugated roads, the trucks, they go really, really slowly. There hasn't been much traffic. There's one tourist car, I think, maybe two. The rest have been local traffic from the local communities, just moving around the desert. And nice 30 degrees right now at 7:30 in the morning. Expecting 42 again today. Mind you, the further south I go, it should get cooler. So I'm looking forward to that. So I think it's time to pack up and hit the road again. So probably got another 600 odd kilometers or so to Alice Springs. Should get there today. So just one night on the Tanami desert, which is good. Fuel economy seems to be pretty good too. So going slowly. Slowly, okay. Going at about 80 kilometers an hour, which is pretty quick, I suppose, on these roads. But it's just the sweet spot, I think, for the Troopy and getting the maximum economy.
Yeah, guys, okay? No worries. Yeah, got some water if you want. Okay. Offering these guys some water. Another fun experience. The rules of the road, especially on these remote roads, is that if you ever come across anyone that's stationary on the road, it's courtesy just to stop and just to see where everything's okay. These guys just changed a tyre, a minibus from the local community here, and this is their country. I met with a guy called Frank, and yeah, he managed to change the tyre, how to use a mallet and whatever to bash some of the rim out, whatever. So he got to be a bit of a bush mechanic to do the repairs out here. However, he was self-sufficient, no problems there, but he did ask for some water. They had, I think, about a 4-litre container between 30 of them, so I was at least able to give them some water. And they're on their merry way, so the communities aren't that far apart here. And no doubt, I did notice a bit more traffic from the local communities as well. And in fact, there was another car that stopped to help them out as well, so that's good. All good. Everything ended up well. Aboriginal communities have taken over the fuel stops on Tanami Road, but it's still so remote and anything can happen out here, especially when the weather conditions turn hot as they are right now. So it's 9:30 and it's approaching 40 degrees Celsius already. This used to be the previous fuel stop, which was Rabbit Flat on the Tanami Road. This is what remains of Rabbit Flat. Not much. Well, we've got another car here that's stopped, and I'll check to see whether they need any assistance and if I'm able to help at all. We're about to find out. They are waving me down, so let's see what's going on. How's it going?
What's going on?
Yes, I've got a... Yep. Okay, let me just pull over. Alright. Alright, so they need a wheel spanner, a wrench, and we'll give them a hand. Well, you can't always help out. So, a group of probably about 8
And the question was, do I have a wheel spanner for their tyre? Okay, yeah, so, okay, grab my wheel spanner, had a look at their rear tyre. So there are 6 bolts that go into the hub, a bunch of, obviously 6 nuts. Well, okay, for starters, there were only 4 bolts of the 6. And out of those 4 bolts, there were 2 nuts that were actually still on the bolts. The other 2 basically, they were just freewheeling, so they weren't even touching the rim. And even with the 2 nuts, they seemed to be the wrong thread for the bolt, so they were just sitting on the tip of the bolt. So effectively there was nothing actually holding that wheel to the whole assembly. It's a sad case. If you had the right equipment, you could try and pull out those studs that are there, rethread the holes and put in the correct studs with the correct nuts to reattach that wheel to the hub. What will happen is they will have some of their community members will probably drive out here and they'll get picked up, ferried to the next location. And I wouldn't be surprised that that car just gets dumped. Like many of the cars do, as soon as they can't change the tyre, change the wheel, that's basically it. That's the end of the car. The state of affairs out here on the Tanami. I suspect this is not going to be the only story that I have of the Tanami. I've got another 500 kilometres to do of this desert road, and I think there's going to be a few more breakdowns along the way. Hopefully it won't be my car, and hopefully I'll be able to help out whoever I come across in the day ahead. Crazy. Oh my goodness, these corrugations are so bad. I don't know whether you can actually see here, but right up there and right down there, we just got corrugations galore. I think I've got a big road train ahead of us, but there's a lot of dust, so I might just check the bolts on my wheels to be sure. They all seem to be, because these corrugations are so bad. Can you see? There's definitely another one in front. Can you hear the vibrations? So bad, so bad. Alright, so we've got one coming this way and one in front of us. And the one that's coming this way is huge. Huge! Oh my goodness, look at it rattle away. That's in simple harmonic motion there before the vibration. The whole tray of that semi-trailer was going like a sine wave along its the length of the trailer. Crazy. Now what? There's more ahead. Another one coming my way and one in front, heading in the same direction. Another big truck here. My goodness, they're really shipping in the big boys. Look at the size of that. Alright, and then we've got one in front of us now. Slow going, eh?
Yes, it's actually not too bad just here, but there's some rough spots.
Enjoy the day. We get all sorts of characters on the road. We'll find out whether he needs any help or not. You never know who you're going to meet
in these lonesome Tanami road here, and I've met Steve, and he's been walking for how many years now? 7 years.
Yeah, in a period of 7 years, through the Queensland outback and now into the Northern Territory.
He's a wise man. You're sleeping underneath the now that's
mansion.
I don't know what sort of tree that is. I think it's desert oak or something like that.
Or your acacia.
Yeah, there you go. You probably know better than I do.
Yep.
But it's 40 degrees right now, and now you'd be walking during the night, or?
Yes, during the night time. 5 o'clock usually till 12 the next day. So 12 to 18 hour period of walking in the coolness of the night, where you don't even touch a bit of water at all.
He's surviving on what, 2 litres a day?
That's my regular intake.
Regular intake, 2 litres a day in 40 degree days.
It is always cooler at night.
Yeah.
Look, it's taking the practicing like the Bedouin do out in the desert over in the Middle East. Travel at night time, it's always cooler.
You're carrying 120 kilos, I think you were saying, on this rig of yours.
Yeah.
So you've got to balance it well, don't you?
Yeah, it's like 120 to like around 70 litres of water. Definitely 30 of clothing. You got a 20 kilos more of swag and a sleeping bag. And other bits and pieces I find off the road. Bits and pieces. So it's 100, 120, 130 kind of thing. But it's so well balanced. You can just push it with one hand.
Yeah.
It's modification. It's like a square box at the start. Now it's come to this. Where I do need that bit more space to carry like water, food, and all the food that I have there I get given to me from people that stop. They hear about my cause and they drop off like bagfuls of groceries wherever I am to help me.
You want to talk a little bit about your cause?
Yeah. Okay.
What sort of set you on this route, on this journey?
Okay, I had a car accident back 27 years ago over in New Zealand, and a government department that failed on keeping their promises and helping me in rehabilitation after coming out of a coma from a brain injury. You're just released out back into the world without any assistance, and of course you suppress everything like the post-traumatic stress. You get seizures, all of these things you're not aware of. You just think you're going loony, and you get back into life. Everybody encourages you to get back into life. Don't give up. Have a tablespoon of cement. Get into it. Harden up. And that's what I done, and of course it all came back to me whilst I was pretty much had got married and had a family, and that all ended up horrible. I was angry and the depression, losing jobs, just hating the world, alcohol, and suicides. Ended up in suicide attempts, so mental institutions, and not much support from anybody. Friends left you, and nobody wanted to know you. You're out on your own. And a nice guy from a community group for head injury, I approached him. He said, "Did you get any help?" I said, What help?" He said, "Rehabilitation, doctor, compensation, anything." I said, "No, I haven't." He said, "We have to do something about it." Of course, they are not really too keen on doing that for you, but I got a little bit of money, which wasn't enough. That got me a ticket on an airplane from New Zealand to Australia, and of course it went wonderful for a little while, my life, but it all came crashing down again. So not holding jobs, depression, the seizures, just the mania, you know, going loony. And yeah, the government departments catch up with you and they shut down my accounts because I wasn't paying my child support when I couldn't even support myself. And I said, okay, I'm going for a walk. So I sold my car, $1,500, and got a car made for $1,500. And it's morphed into something else now after all these years. But I went for a walk and it was enjoyable, and nobody can find me. It's a therapy for me. It has its had hard days though, you know. But,
with what you've gone through, do you think you're able to help others who are going through a similar journey?
That's the goal. It's the goal.
Yeah.
Look, I was very angry about everything. I thought, yeah, you know what? Let's go on an anger protest, a rage, and become a revolutionist and get the government to do something about this kind of situation, you know, and other people going through it. But it's not the way. You can't be angry about a failing system. I think, you know, I want to project a positive attitude, and not have the grudges, not have that anger and unforgiveness there because of a failed system, you know, but to move on and explore other areas in life. I don't mean, you know, so spiritually, mentally, physically, those areas in your life, you know, it's not the end, but it's finding that support, people that understand, that will listen to you, that really help, and that's what's done it for me. It's still hard. I don't take my medication, I can't afford it. I'm still not sure what really is wrong with me, you know, but I just, you know, I came across this motivational speaker. That's what really kind of changed it a little bit for me. And he said, you know what, write a book about your adventure, you know, and that's what it ended up being. It's been 7 years since he told me that. He actually doesn't know that I'm walking around still.
He'd be keen to get this update.
Yeah, you know, I did leave in Queensland. I left. I was heading south to go to the Nullarbor. I got short of Eromanga, but I had a mental breakdown out in the middle of nowhere. An outback cop found me, and I ended up in a hospital in Quelpi, and then I got transferred to Charleville. So I had a real low time. And it's just been, it hasn't been just this nice cruisy long walk, been stop go. Suffer the depression. I have these anger spats and stuff. I'm a lot better at handling it now. I love life and I love people, and what I want to get out of this is something that's going to be encouraging and inspiring to people that are going through the same thing. It covers a lot of issues today that are campaign for, like mental illness. But the government departments failing, you know, for fathers and mothers too, you know. But you know what? I think all of us as individuals, we've got to go, are we an encouragement? Are we inspiration to people around us? You know what? We've got to take a look at ourselves internally, then having a go at everybody looking on the external. You know, we've got to just, you know, do we have a network, a support network? Are we part of a support network to help people that are in a really broken place? That's what it is for me right now as well. I think I'm forgetting about myself, about myself, and going out and finding people that are hurting, and being there for them. I think that's what it is for me. Communicating with people, having hard interaction with people, you know, not just a hi and goodbye, you know, God bless, but actually going up and being a practical blessing. I want to help you, you know. That's where it is for me.
if you want to support Stephen in some way, we've just got to work out how we're going to do it, but there might be a way. Further investigation is required, and it will be in the video update.
Totally. Look, I'm feeding off people every day.
Yeah.
I don't have a plan of attack. I'm just walking, and you know what? It was going to be a book about walking and doing superhuman things. It became self-ambitious in a way, but it definitely hasn't gone that way.
Yeah.
It's not about me. It's about other people that are going through similar thing. We don't have to go through a similar thing. We all struggle in some area of our life, and we feel like we're a failure because of a system that makes us feel that way. But you know what? There's a whole bunch of people out there that think differently to that, and that are prepared to listen to you and help you in some way. But you have to get out there and tell people about yourself, but not in an angry way. But you know, I want to project that positive, a joy about living regardless of the down, you know, and out moments. It's I love people, and I you know what, I hope certainly that I can be an encouragement to people that think it's the end, and it's not. There's a purpose and there's a hope for everybody. You know.
That was a great encounter with Steve. We'll try and work out how we can help him in his pursuit around Australia, meeting other people, helping people with depression. Although there's a lot of that stuff particularly in Central Australia. And I think Steve could help a lot of people out there. Meet Steve in the towns that he'll be going through. He's heading towards Western Australia right now, and no doubt he will meet up with you. Alright, the Tanami Desert Track update. Road repairs update. Yeah, so it starts from about 300 kilometers from Alice Springs, and they're doing a lot of work here. So they've built a side road here, which is far better than what the old Tanami track is like. And then they're building the new sealed road, by the looks of things, adjacent there with the heavy machinery. So I'm expecting smooth rides now all the way to Alice Springs. Eventually this should turn into sealed road. And then my Tanami desert journey has probably come to an end. And I must admit, that's been one of the most interesting desert treks that I've done with the people that I've met. Steve, for example, and helping out some of the fellow travellers and local communities here, wherever I could. It's been a bit of an eye-opener, to say the least. Well, that's it for the dirt road off the Tanami. It's about 800 kilometres of dirt, and now we have gone to sealed road, and I'm expecting sealed road now for the rest of the journey to Alice Springs. And then I have to decide where to from there. The eastern states have had a lot of rain. There's been a lot of flooding. Murray River is flooding right now, and so I might go sort of head down that way to see how the floods are.